All right, just gonna go create some new titles for this video that I'm making. Click the new title button, new item, titles. Where's titles? It used to be here. Where are my titles? Hey, what's up? Phil here, and today in this tutorial, I'm going to walk through how to use the new title creator in Adobe Premiere Pro. Their latest version of Creative Cloud 2017.1 completely changed how we create and edit titles in Premiere Pro. So in this tutorial, we're going to walk through using the new title creator to create your own custom titles, using templates that they have, how to animate your titles, how to save your templates to use in the future, and so much more. All of that's coming up right now, so don't worry, you can still create titles in Premiere Pro, and actually, I'm kind of excited about the new way we do it. It's been a lot more efficient for me for some of the projects I've been working on, and once you get the hang of it, even though it's different, I think you're going to be happy too. Let's get going. First things first, you notice that when you open up Premiere Pro and you're trying to create a title, typically what I would do is click this new item button. Well, it's not there anymore. If you right click and you say new item, it's not there anymore, but you can still actually create titles the old way. For now anyways, you have to go up to File, New, Legacy Title. Now you can create a title just like you did before using the old legacy title creator. It's all there for you if you want to go back this way, and you still have your titles in your project bin like so. But that's not how we create titles anymore. So first I want to show you how to create titles from scratch. Well, we have this new title creator tool. You'll see here in your tools panel that you have this text tool or the type tool. And to use it, all we have to do is click it and click onto our program window actually. So not in our timeline, but just up here, just click anywhere and then start typing. So let me just call this test type. You'll notice what happens is the effects controls panel pops open, and now, and also on our timeline actually, let me zoom in here on my timeline, we have this new test type layer. The interesting thing and how titles work now is that it's kind of an effect applied to this layer. The other thing is that this type doesn't appear in your project panel anymore, kind of like we used to do. It's not going to show up here where it's an actual asset. You can go here into your effects controls and edit things like the font, the size, the appearance, but that's not what we're going to do because Premiere Pro has a brand new window. If you go to Window and then scroll down to Essential Graphics, you'll find this brand new Essential Graphics panel, which is how I recommend editing your text. So if you open up that panel for the first time, you'll see two tabs, Browse and Edit. We're going to go over Browse in just a minute. That's how you use some of the templates that they've already created or ones that you've created in the past. We're going to click Edit. When you click Edit for the first time, if you've already created some text, what you'll see is your text layer right here. If you click on that, you'll see all kinds of different options. And this is very similar to what it was before. You have very similar options, but I do just want to run through them really quickly. You have your overall sort of styling options, align and transform up here. So you can click here to horizontally and vertically align. You can move the position of your text with these options right here, your horizontal and vertical position. You can change the anchor point with these two options right here. You can change the size in terms of sort of a percentage with this option right here. It's linked automatically, the scale. If you want to stretch or skew it, you can unlink it and stretch or skew it, but I want to keep it locked. You could also rotate with this tool right here, and you can see that automatically my anchor point is in the bottom left. And then you have your opacity. But you also have more options down here, and we have master styles here, but I'm going to skip that and talk about that in just a minute. But you have your basic font options, your font styles. You also have your font size, which is a different way to increase or decrease the size of your text instead of the scale up here. You'll notice that nothing is changing unless I highlight my text. So if I select my text and then I increase or decrease any of these options, you'll see that it actually works, but without that text selected, it's not going to work. You have your paragraph align tools, you have your leading, tracking, kerning, baseline shift, all of that stuff right here. And then your appearance. So this is your fill, stroke, and shadow. Right now, my fill is on white. If I turn that off, you won't see it. That's the main color of your text. Click this white box to change the color. You can also use this color picker to find a color in your video or really anywhere on your screen to use. Then you have your stroke option, which is a little different. Once you check on the stroke, you can change the size of the stroke. It doesn't have the center, inside, or outside stroke option that the legacy title creator has. So it's now just an outside stroke. And then you have your shadow. Similar to before, if you turn that on, you have your opacity, the angle, the distance, and the size of your shadow. Let me just actually make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So that's the basic way that you edit this text that we've created. But how do these text layers, we'll call them, that appear on our timeline actually work? Well, you can create multiple layers of text inside this one little asset, basically. And to do that, there's two ways to do it. You can click this new layer button, or you could just take your type tool, click here, and start typing. So here's another layer, and you'll see up here in our Essential Graphics panel, we have these two layers. Think of this kind of as a layer or a timeline in itself. The test layer is now on top of the type layer. So if we move the test layer down, it's going to appear on top of the test type. If I move the test type up, which I do just by clicking and dragging and dropping, that now appears on the top. You'll also notice that if I click this new layer button, we have different options. You have your text, your vertical text. You also have your rectangle or ellipse. So this is how we would create sort of a bar. So now I just added that rectangle. You have your options for size, position. You can also edit all these things by taking your selection tool and then clicking right here in your program window. So I can take this layer, I can stretch it out, I can rotate it by hovering over the corners if I want to do that. And that's the same for these different type layers too. So I can take this type layer, I can stretch it, skew it. This one, it's not linked, so I'm going to link that up. Typically, it will be linked so it doesn't stretch or skew. You can rotate, you can change the anchor point, all kinds of stuff just with your selection tool. So now if we want to take this shape layer, put it behind our other text layer, we can just click it and drag it and move it down to the bottom layer. And just move it around until it's in the right position. Obviously, this is covering my face, so it looks terrible, but you get the idea. How do we delete layers? Well, if I select a layer and press delete on my keyboard, it doesn't actually delete. What I have to do is actually click the layer up here in the Essential Graphics panel and then press delete. If you just click it here in your program window and press delete, it doesn't delete. I guess it's just kind of like a safety thing where they don't want you to accidentally delete that way. So that's basically how you can create custom text now. And you'll see that these two layers are in this one layer on my timeline. So what if I want to take this layer? Let's actually make this look a little bit better so it's not covering my face. And what if I want to copy this and just put it on another part of my timeline and maybe change it up a little bit? Well, you can just copy and paste it. You can do that by selecting this layer down here and pressing Command C or then Command V, which would be Control C and then Control V on your PC if you're using PC. And you'll see that now I can go back and edit this text. So I have to take my type tool, go into this test type. I'll call this Phil Ebner. Take my selection tool, move it around. The cool thing now is that, and you'll know that if you use the old version of Adobe Premiere Pro, that if you did that in the past, both of these layers would actually have been changed because this is just a copy of that first layer. It's not a different version. So that's the one cool thing about this is that once you change or once you duplicate it, either by copying and pasting or by option clicking and dragging, which is another way to do it. You can just go in, change things, you can move things around, do whatever you want, and the original version stays how it should be, the original version. That's one thing I like about this version of the text editor. So let me just delete that layer. So that's basically how you create text. Got it? Hopefully we're good now. One other cool thing about this is that you can create text styles. You know how it was so annoying before when you created any new title, it would always show up with the first font, like the alphabetically first font. It would be like the weirdest style, the weirdest shape, the weirdest size, and you have to change all of your things, everything, to make it look good. Well, now, two things. One, if I just take my text tool, not my text stool, that would be bad. If I take my text tool and just start typing, it keeps the same sort of theme and style that we had created before. Cool. What if we want to have this style and use it for another project? Well, what we can do is if we click on our text in this Essential Graphics panel, go to Master Styles, drop this down, we can click Create Master Text Style. I'll call this blue with white stroke. And then I'll just put in Avenir for the font. Click OK. Now you see that this is one of the master styles. Now, say we actually are on a new project or really whatever, and we start using our text tool, and we start typing, and say we're playing around, we change the style, we change the color, we change everything, but then we realize, oh, we just want to apply a style that we've used in the past. What we can do is just go to that text, choose from our master styles, the one that we created before. And now it automatically uses that style we've created. So here was another test style that I created. Very simple, very clean. And so this is cool because as creators, we all have our own style, and usually we use very similar text, font, colors, everything. Now we can just come up with different styles that we can use from project to project. How about creating templates? Well, first let's talk about using templates. Let me just delete these 3 layers. If you go up to your Essential Graphics panel and go to Browse, you'll see that there are a number of folders in here. And a couple of these are styles that I just played around with and tested myself. But if you open up any of these different options, you can see you've got credit styles, you have lower third styles, you've got just regular center titles styles. So let's take one of these lower third titles. So let's just drag any of them down onto our timeline. What you'll notice is that it takes a little while for it to load, depending on how fast your computer is. After it loads, you can scrub through this and you'll see that it has a little bit of animation to it. And that's what's great about these templates is that we can use them and it already has the animation. You'll also see that in the Essential Graphics panel, it has all of these different layers. All of these layers right here are shapes. So if I turn all of them off, you'll see that the shapes start to disappear. And then at the top, you have your text. So to edit your text, you can either just highlight it by clicking up there, or you can click on your text type tool, select your text, select it all, and then change it. Okay, so there we have our text, and now the animation is already applied to the text. Awesome, yeah? So we could actually then just copy and paste this, and let's just say we copy and paste it. I'm just doing that by clicking Option and dragging. And then if I want to change this, say we're editing a documentary or something and we're changing this, say we want this to say Video School Online. Well, now we have a new template that says Video School Online. Same animation, same everything, makes it very quick and efficient to do that. If you want, you can go in and edit these animations, and that's done in the Effects Controls panel. So let me just make that a little bit bigger. You'll see that here we have some keyframes applied to our text layer. So if we scroll down and we zoom in, you have these keyframes, and this is a keyframe for the animation of the text. So if you have any of these templates and you need to change the animation, you can go in there and do that through the Essential Effects Controls panel. And I'm going to show you how to do some custom animations in just a moment. But I just wanted to show you how to do that, or how to use your templates. Very easy. Just find your template in here, drag it down onto your timeline, and make your edits. What if you want to create a template that you want to use in a future project? Well, let me just go over quickly creating a title from scratch again. What we can do is either use our type tool to click and edit text, or with our Essential Graphics panel open, we can just click this new text button. So there we have this new text layer. We can select it. Now we can change it. So let's just change the size, and I'm going to show you how to animate this right now, and then we will create the actual text, the actual template. So I'm just going to make this very, very simple. Say we want this just to sort of move from left to right on our timeline. The way we do that is with keyframes. So what we would do is go into our Effects Controls panel. And if those of you who already know how to use keyframes, this might be very simple for you. But for those of you who are brand new, then I hope this helps. Go down underneath your text, go to Transform, and drop that menu down, and you'll see the same options that we saw over here in the Essential Graphics panel, but now we can actually animate them. So if we see the position here, we can move the position. To animate in Premiere Pro, we have to set keyframes. To do that, we click the toggle animation, or this stopwatch icon, to the left of any of these properties. If you want to animate the position, then that's what we click up here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click the toggle animation button. And now we have a keyframe on this little timeline up here in the effects control panel. If I go forward and I say that I want the position to change to, say, right here, what happens in between is that from this keyframe to this keyframe, it moves. And that's how you create animations for position, for scale, for rotation, for opacity, for any of these different transform properties. Now, if I go to the very start of this title and play, it's still, and then it starts moving. I want it to move throughout the entire text layer. So I'm just going to click and drag these keyframes to the edges. So that first one I'm clicking and dragging to the start, and the second one clicking and dragging to the end. Awesome. Let's make this a little more intricate just to show you what we can do with it. So I'm just going to click Create New Layer. I'm going to add new text. And I'll just call this videoschoolonline.com, my website. And if we drag this down, let's just put this right here. And let's have this text moving the opposite way. So let's go to this text in our Effects Controls panel, drop down its transform properties, set a keyframe, move it to the very beginning, and then let's move it to the left. And you'll see when you move it or you change it, if there's already a keyframe on this property, it automatically creates that keyframe for you. You don't have to click the stopwatch to add an animation or a keyframe afterwards. And I'll just take that keyframe and move it to the very end. So now we have these two text layers moving back and forth on our timeline. What if I want to use this sort of as a template? What I can do is right-click this text layer right here, click Export as Motion Graphics Template, and just save it. We want to change the name to, say, Lower Third with Motion. We want to save it in our Essential Graphics folder so that it appears in this panel. Click OK. Now, say we want to use that template at the start of this sequence or another sequence, we can just go up to Browse. We can go to our master folder. And here we have our Lower Third with Motion template we just created. I can drag that onto our timeline. It's going to load it. Just like the other templates, it does take a moment to load. Now we have our text with the motion. The cool thing is now we can go in and just change this text. So say we want to change this to be Phil Ebner. Now we have our Phil Ebner text. Might be good to add a little bit of a fade. We could also add that fade into the opacity or create an opacity animation in that template itself, which would make it even easier and more efficient next time. Maybe this text is a little bit too big, so we could go up to the Phil Ebner text. We can shrink it down just a little bit. And there you have it. Easy to use templates right within Adobe Premiere Pro, which you could do this with live text templates in After Effects before. You could create templates in Premiere Pro and save them and import them from project to project. But now we have the Essential Graphics panel to basically do it all for us. So I feel like that's pretty much everything that I need to cover in the panel, what you can do now with it. If you have any questions, if you're confused, if there was something that you could do before but you can't do now, feel free to leave a question below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But hopefully this has given you a great sort of overview of what to do in Premiere Pro now that the old title tool is completely gone. Thank you so much. For more courses, tutorials, and everything else, check out videoschoolonline.com. Have a great day. Hey, Phil here, and I hope you really enjoyed that tutorial. If you want thousands more tutorials organized into courses and learning paths that take you from beginner to advanced in a ton of cool topics, you should check out the Video School Online All Access Pass. And for those of you watching right now, you can get the first month completely free. After that, it's $9 a month. You can cancel anytime, no strings attached, no questions asked. Head over to videoschoolonline.com/access to get your first month completely free and to join people from all around the world learning new skills and becoming better at what they're passionate about. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to see you inside.